welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us again for another episode of The Extra Out. It's your boys, Dan and Chris from the Sportsheads. Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing good, man. I'm glad that we're diving into this playoff action, man. I'm happy. No lie. How you guys doing over there on the other side of the pond?
We're not too bad. Weather's okay. It started to rain a couple of days ago, so now it's picking back up. Great weather for summer, hopefully. Although lockdown hasn't really made it a great summer of 2020.
You guys better enjoy them 2 weeks. Better enjoy them 2 weeks of heat.
Yeah, we got to try it. That being said, the summer, we actually have basketball during summer, so that's not been too bad. So I think what we're looking forward to right now is sort of the games. As people know, the playoff games have started. And for us, we'll dissect two of the games for you guys. The first game will be Boston versus Philly. Chris, take it away. What were your thoughts on the game?
Last night, Boston versus Philly. When the series started, obviously I took Boston to go ahead and win the series because Philly is out of one of their main superstars in Ben Simmons. But I'm not going to lie to you. The way I saw Joel Embiid play last night was the Joel Embiid I think all Philadelphia fans want to see. He was inside. He was diving for loose balls. He was getting important rebounds, and it just seemed like Philly just did not have enough to get over the hump for Boston last night. So I know Boston is going to go ahead and readjust. No Ben Simmons, but also Philly will also. So I still got Boston taking the series in 6, but I think Philly will get game 2. Though.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tighter game than I thought. I don't think Philly will get game 2. I think the Celtics will sort of ride it out. I think they'll probably do sort of clean streak.
Oh, you got a sweep coming.
Yeah, I really do. I do think that they will get that personally. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it was a great game. To be fair, and like I said, it was a lot tighter than I was expecting overall. So that's really good. But yeah, I'm still taking the Celtics in this round, and sort of Joel Embiid did well, but can Joel Embiid stay healthy? Can he stay consistent? Can he?
Great question. Can Joel stay consistent? I think he's proven the injury bug question a little bit. He's there. He's playing. So can he stay consistent and be that? Probably in the playoffs, they're gonna need that 30 and 15 guy. To mostly every night. But no lie, the wings on the Celtics look amazing. Tatum. And those guys look very strong, and Walker stepping in right where he left off. Boston definitely does look strong.
Yeah, and now one game that was a lot closer than anticipated, particularly with what happened throughout the game, was Dallas versus the Clippers. Now, for those who weren't watching it, it was Clippers won 118-10, so only about 8 points, but it was a lot closer game than that, and sort of Dallas was really right up into the ball game until Porzingis got ejected in the third quarter. So, I mean, I guess my question to you is not necessarily what your thoughts are on the game, but do you feel that if Porzingis had stayed in the game, Dallas would have won that game?
Dan, we gave us some awards yesterday for the NBA bubble, and we didn't have an opportunity to give the bonehead play of the bubble because it hadn't happened yet, and that would have definitely went to KP. Porzingis made a very boneheaded play. It kind of sensed the inexperience of being in a playoff experience, and it just seemed like when he made that play, he wasn't thinking. He already had a previous tech for an emotional outburst by punching the air, which I think is a little ticky-tack personally for me from the playoff basketball I grew up watching in the 90s and stuff. But for him to get the tech for punching the air, he should know that he can't retaliate in terms of defending a teammate. Granted, that's the thing you're supposed to do, but he has to be smarter than that. And then what happens is you put your team on the defense. Luka has to go out and ball out of control in a losing effort. And this was a game that they could have stolen from the Clippers, who were preemptive NBA favorites to win the championship. So these are the small things, and I know Rick Carlisle is going to go back and talk to them and say, hey, we cannot beat ourselves. We can't be the 7th seed and beat ourselves and then lose one of our greatest players. So I know Porzingis is going to go ahead and recalculate that. The team is going to come back together, and I do see a strong series moving forward.
Yeah, I mean it's a young team. Dallas is a young team, and a lot of those guys don't have necessarily have the playoff experience that sort of maybe the Clippers do. One thing that was surprising to me, as well, going back to my question, is I think Zingas, had he stayed, I think Dallas probably would have won that game potentially. I think you left it all on Luka, which was unfair on Luka, but he did well. He did ball out. My concern is the defense of the Clippers. Kawhi isn't the Kawhi of even last year, let alone 3 years ago. So I'm concerned about their defense. I'm concerned about their chemistry. I've been concerned about it from the get-go when the bubble started. And for me, it's a worry for me with regards to whether or not they can do well. So we'll see.
Is it a worry for you for the series or moving forward throughout the playoffs? Their defense. Do you think that they'll get it together, or
I think they need
a lot
the
of
chemistry with their starting lineup. Do I think if they get to the championship, I think they would have that chemistry? They've played enough games as a team to have that chemistry. But before that, right now, is they don't have enough chemistry as a team. They're not cohesive enough as a unit, in my opinion. I think that's why I mentioned sort of the defense as well. Because when you're more of a cohesive unit, you're better defensively. So we'll see.
But that's why
I think Dallas might get the second and third game.
But that's why it's so important to keep your head on if you're KP and the Mavericks, because you steal game one, you change the whole trajectory of the whole series. You don't know what's going to happen. There's no home court advantage. There's so many different intangibles that we're not used to that these guys can pick on. So that's why KP's ejection was so big for the first game and pretty much could have settled this whole series already. Because, like you said, the Clippers, defensively have to tighten up, and they'll get there. Paul George did say that they have some chemistry issues that they have to work on, but I think they're veteran enough to get it right.
No, I definitely agree. So, moving on to the games of today, we've got the Pacers and the Heat, we've got the Bucks and the Magics, and we have Rocket Thunders as well as Lakers Trailblazers. So I think let's focus on sort of the big games, I should say. No offense to Orlando, but we're not going to focus on you. We're really going to look at sort of the Pacers versus Heat. Now I know you had the Heat win in the series when we spoke earlier, but what's your thoughts on this actual game one? Who do you think will excel? Who do you think will be sort of that star of the game? What are your predictions score-wise?
Well, here for game one, obviously I picked the Heat to win the series in 6, possibly 7, depending on the intangibles that's happening in the bubble. But I do think today that the Heat will come out victorious. Culturally, they set the tone. Defensively, I feel that they're going to come out very hungry. Jimmy Butler is definitely going to want to set a playoff tone for his team. This is Bam's second playoff, so we're going to see how strong he comes out. And I think that the Heat are ready. They look like that deep team that can make a run, but they didn't get to prove it in the bubble because they had players in and out of the lineup. Spo had to go ahead and switch it up. But I will give you this: the Pacers are one of those hard-fought teams. T.J. Warren is coming hard, and also Oladipo. But I do take the Heat to take game one to set the tone for the rest of the series, and we'll see what happens in game 2. But I do have the Heat taking game 1.
We'll see. I think the playoff experience of Iguodala. I think the strength of the Heat. I think they're going to go and win the first set. I think it will be quite close. I think it'll probably be a 6-point game between the two. But I think I have the Heat winning something like around sort of 108 to 102. Sort of again, if I get that score right, guys.
Vegas, make sure you get them.
I can't see. I think it'll probably be a 4-1 in terms of to the Heat. I think the Pacers will win, but I think they might win a second or third game. But I think it'll be sort of. I think I'm taking the Heat to go through this.
Man, he's taking the Heat in 5. I said at least 7, man. Oh man. Okay, we'll see what's going. We'll see what happens.
I mean, to be fair, they match up well, but I just don't know. The Pacers haven't really impressed me since the bubbles restarted, so I'm not entirely sure. And I think Jimmy Butler's he's still got a chip on his shoulder, so he's got a point to prove. So moving on to the Rockets versus the Thunders. Obviously, look, situation is what the situation is with the Rockets. we got to see what your thoughts on the Rockets versus Thunders.
This is the Dan and Chris special. He took the Rockets. I'm taking the Thunder in this one. Game one, I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what to expect. I'm expecting a good game. But the Rockets probably will go ahead and take game one. I'm gonna go ahead and say the Rockets are gonna take game one. Because their style is so weird and different, and they space small ball, they may be able to catch Oklahoma City off guard in game one. But I feel they will readjust, and their size and their length will be too much for Houston throughout the series. But I think in game one, Houston will come out with a barrage of threes and control the perimeter of the game. It will be close. I think they win probably by like 6-7 points. But I think Houston in tonight's game, James Harden probably is going to go over 30 points. And Russell Westbrook will be right there with him. So I take Houston in game one, but I do have OKC for the series.
Okay, interesting. I think it's going to be a bit of a struggle for the Rockets for the first couple of games, because obviously I think injuries on their side of the ball is what's going to really affect them for the first sort of 2-3 games. So I think the Thunders will win the first game. I think Thunders will win tonight, and I think it will probably be. I still have. Look, I picked the Rockets because they started off really well, and then they sort of plateaued a little bit, and so I'm not entirely sure. I'm not entirely confident on that pick, but I did pick them. So I will continue with that pick because I said that yesterday. I'm a man of my word.
Man of his word. He's not moving.
I'll continue that pick even if I have to die by the swords. So I will stick to that. But that being said, I do think the Thunders will win the first game. I just think they're a bit better prepared mentally and physically to match up with the Rockets for this game. So we'll see.
People listening to this must be like, are you sure you picking OKC? And it must be like, are you sure you picking Houston? Because we both picked the opposing teams to win game one.
Yeah, I picked them. I'm not confident anymore, but it is what it is. I have to stick by my pick. That being said, I still think the Thunders were going to win the first game anyways. I think it was going to be more of a situation with Houston. I think it'll go down to 6 or 7 games. I think Houston will still come out on top.
Gotta love that Brit pride. I love it. Stick to the guns.
The last game to talk about for tonight is the Lakers versus the Trailblazers. Now, Chris, we've talked about this before. I initially said a few weeks ago that I reckon Portland will, take the Lakers. Yesterday, I did say that I wasn't too sure about the ability of the Blazers to keep keep LeBron and AD out. I'm still not confident on AD, playoff AD. So who do you have for? Actually, no, not even who do you have. Do you see AD taking the mantle and actually taking the burden off LeBron in this game?
I think that's the biggest question mark. Not over the Lakers, but over the whole bubble. Is wondering, we all want to see how Anthony Davis is going to do in the playoffs. We've seen him very briefly when he was with the Pelicans, got outs in the first round. Obviously, he's a grown, bigger, mature man, superstar player, caliber player, and it's his time. So this is when we really see if a player steps up to the mantle. Sometimes a player has to take a mantle, it's not given to them. AD has to take this. They cannot depend on LeBron James to win this playoff show. They can't depend on LeBron James to go out there and have a 30-point, 15 rebound, 10 assists game average over the series. That can't. Anthony Davis has to be dominant, especially because Portland is a big team. They got Whiteside. They got Nurkic, they got Leonard. They got so many big pieces that they can throw at AD that he really has to come. So trust me, AD is the one player that we all are going to be watching as the Lakers. LeBron has already done what he got. He got 3 rings. His stuff is etched in zone. Trust me, if they lose, he'll get embarrassed. But I think because LeBron is in the year 17 and AD is the one that's supposed to carry the mantle, more of the pressure, I think, is on Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis has to show up in these playoffs for the Lakers to survive.
Yeah, so, I don't have confidence on AD. I love the dude. No, this isn't me hating on the on AD, on AD's game. I just think AD isn't that sort of killer. And look, not everyone that plays basketball or everyone that plays sports has to be that Ronaldo, Jordan-esque killer, going for your throat, trying to win at everything. So I don't think AD is that. And I think with playoffs, you kind of need that a little bit. Look, if LeBron was 5 years younger, I would say, yeah, I would definitely back them to win it all. LeBron isn't. He can't play as many minutes as he wants to play. He's not as good defensively as he once was. So for me, it really relies on AD, and AD in the fourth quarter since the bubbles restarted hasn't been great at all. It's been quite awful in terms of stats. So for me, I'm looking at this and I'm just, I don't have confidence in AD. And I think if the Lakers are to go all the way, not just in this series, but all the way to the championship, they're going to need AD more than ever. And I'm not confident in that. So with that being said, I still will stick with, even though I'm suspect, I think Portland's the defense is suspect, I'm still going to stick with them. So we'll see what happens. So, but yeah.
Ouch.
I think Portland would win this game. I think if the Lakers are going to win, will be game 3, 4, 5, because I think Portland have been playing playoff basketball since the bubbles restarted. And so you have to look at, are they fatigued? Do they have the energy for it? Sort of you look at sort of their players, and outside of Dame, they've still got a bit of 1 or 2 injuries. So I'm not really too sure about them as overall. But we'll see.
Yeah, your AD point was is very, very taken in terms of what you expect. We are expecting him to take the mantle, and it's funny that you're like, I don't see him taking it. And to your point, as you were saying it, I was thinking that those big bodies in Portland can lean on him all series, and if he doesn't have the will and the fight and the mental fortitude to get through that, trust me, it can get weary, because those guys' job is to lean on Anthony Davis. Whiteside's job is to lean on him, make it hard, push, pull, and then they let those killers, McCollum and Lillard and Melo, do their job on the offensive end. So Portland can come out with a very sound game plan. They have a shot. But I'm like I said, I'm going with the Lakers. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Lakers in game 1. I think LeBron James, and when his team is ready to go with the playoffs, they just come out with a different kind of smacking from what I've noticed over the years. And Portland may have to go and recalibrate and figure out what they're going to do. Not to say that they don't have a chance in this series, but I think game 1, LeBron James is going to do his revenge James kind of heroics and go ahead and get the Lakers game 1, because he understands how embarrassing it would be for them to lose game 1 as a number 1 seed. So I think LeBron James is going to come out and get Anthony Davis moving. I think this is going to be LeBron's game today as this tone setter. As you know, I've been saying that the whole show. But he's going to have to show Anthony Davis how we do this. I don't think LeBron James can wait on Anthony Davis in game 1. So I do see the Lakers winning this one in a close one, but I see LBJ being the difference.
Let's see, mate. Let's see. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not confident. I think LeBron's obviously got a bit more extra rest than Dame. So I think it's either way, it'll be a tight game, because I think Dame will carry his team across. I think we're starting to see the makings of a superstar in Damian Lillard. So we'll see. But yeah, that's it for us on this episode. We're looking at the games. Guys, remember to like and subscribe our videos. Leave comments as well. We'd like to hear from you guys, and who you think is going to win, what your thoughts are on sort of the bubble experience itself, and also, go back and check our video on sort of our NBA bubble awards. Let us know what if you disagree or agree as well. So, we look forward to hearing from you guys. Chris?
All right, man. Great show. See you guys tomorrow. Extra time.